Derik Queen just willed the Pelicans to another late win, just their second of the season, but I'm going to tell you why this one means more than it looks. It's the Thursday episode of Locked On Pelicans. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pelicans, your daily New Orleans Pelicans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On Pelicans, the daily podcast covering your favorite team, the New Orleans Pelicans and NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, available wherever you get your podcasts and available on YouTube. I'm your host, Pelicans Insider, credential member of the media, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, here with y'all on this Thursday, day after the Pelicans win 101-99 against the Dallas Mavericks. That is a winning streak, ladies and gentlemen. The Pelicans can still go 76-6. There's a 6-7 joke in there somewhere. I'm not going to do that. I'm not cool enough. So thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Friday, the number one Pelicans podcast covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and join over 12,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well. And become an everydayer means you listen Monday through Friday to the Locked On Pelicans podcast. And if you're an everydayer, let me know how you're feeling after two wins. Look at that. In a row. Sending the rival Dallas Mavericks down to the worst record with in the Western Conference is also kind of fun. And don't forget, you can watch Locked On Pelicans on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. Same place you watch your Pelicans play. We got a lot to cover. Derik Queen did it again. He looks good. The numbers don't jump out at you, but his impact is absolutely there. Trey Murphy, not as bad as you think in this game if you only look at the shooting numbers. I really want to dissect what we saw from him and Jose Alvarado in this game as well, because they really kept the Pelicans going. And Willie Green's probably safe for now. We'll break that down in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. So let's get into everything here. Pelicans winning 101-99, now 2-6 on the season, no longer the worst team in the Western Conference. That's kind of nice to say here. That actually is the Dallas Mavericks, who are also 2-6 themselves and looked real bad. That'll work for me here. This was another Derik Queen game. Didn't start. This is another different starting lineup that we saw in this one. And this one, just for both teams, was an unbelievable offensive slog. Like, this was some ugly basketball out there on the court. Truthfully, both teams with barely scoring whatsoever. The efficiency was low. And in one of these kind of games, a team is just going to need to grind out, to gut out a win, and you just take it however you can get it. We'll nitpick and complain about some things later, but in just an awful game between, two not very good teams, you just do what you can to get the victory here. And this was Derik Queen, the guy stepping up and doing something again and again, particularly in the fourth quarter. When you look at when he stepped on the court, the Pelicans did go on some runs. There was a 10-2 run. He played the entire fourth again. They went on a 6-1 run right at the beginning, then a 10-2 run midway through the fourth quarter. It's his type of impact. He has been exceptionally good late in these past two games of just doing things. And it doesn't even necessarily need to be the scoring. He did have a very nice bucket in the fourth quarter here, got to the line as well, going 1 of 2 from that. But this is also someone who grabbed important rebounds for this team. 3 defensive boards in the fourth quarter. The entire Pelicans team had 6. They've been one of the worst defensive rebounding teams out there. So having a guy that just gets you a key defensive board, and defensive rebounding is defense, is a really important thing. He makes plays on the defensive side of the ball. There's some rim protection from him. He had 2 steals in this one as well. And when you need someone just to create, he had 2 assists. That's getting it done. I'm not going to nitpick what it looked like or anything like that. I just want to see, are you making winning plays? Are you doing correct things? And Derik Queen has shown that in back-to-back games. You see the vision for him. You see it. We're going to ignore the process on how they got him because it doesn't matter for this segment. It doesn't matter for this talk. He's still raw, but you can see a very special type of player here. He was one of the more polarizing players in this draft. You either really liked the skill, the touch that he had for a big man, and in that fourth quarter bucket, when he carries the ball above his head, playing like a guard, making moves like a guard, you see that unicorn kind of big that if you can get one of those guys, get one of those guys. You saw a guy that you can run your offense through, and for a game where you didn't have Jordan Poole, you didn't have Zion Williamson, someone needs to create. I've used that word a lot on this show the past couple months, creation. Derik Queen creates. You need a guy like that. I wouldn't call him an advantage creator, but he creates for others and himself. You take that from a guy. He's showing you. I wouldn't say this is a win, and we'll kind of look more at this in the third segment. I wouldn't say this is a win that exactly inspires a ton of confidence to turn the season around. You just beat the Dallas Mavericks, who are bad. The game before, you beat the Charlotte Hornets, who played like 4 rookies heavy minutes. These were, they were favored against Charlotte. I didn't look at the spread for this game, but it would have been pretty similar. These are 2 very winnable games for you. You won them. Good job. You play like this on offense, where Saddiq Bey is your leading scorer against a good team, you're probably going to get blown out. This team is not fixed by any stretch. This isn't a win that inspires confidence that the season will turn around, but it's the type of win that makes you still have hope. It's the type of win that makes you believe there's still something here in the most nebulous sense in New Orleans. It makes you feel like there is a core that you can build around, that there is a vision here, and this team isn't just adrift in the sea. You might need to squint a little bit. It might not be crystal clear, and you might not know how or when it will arrive, but you can see some of the vision from Joe Dumars and Troy Weaver on why they got the players that they did. You can complain about the process. I don't doubt that you are, and I am. But you see why they went after these guys, and you could see that they could build something there. It's going to take a minute. They're not going to be a playoff team if you're playing Derik Queen and Jeremiah Fears heavy minutes. But you can also see they could be a playoff team and a good playoff team in the future behind these 2 type of players. This is the 2 timelines thing, right? This is one of the 2 timelines, the young guys, and focusing on their development. And maybe it's just clarifying which direction the Pelicans need to go. It's 2 wins with Zion out. Again, you wouldn't do this against a good team. You would need Zion, and the Pelicans would have blown out the Dallas Mavericks, I think, with Zion Williamson out there. But now you just feel like the team isn't as adrift as they were a couple of days ago. And truthfully, given where this team was looking, 0-6 to start the year, that's actually pretty encouraging and maybe something that was just needed and makes people feel better. You can, question, wonder if they'll actually get there, if you trust management to make the right moves and lead this team to that kind of success. But at least it could come. And I don't know if people were thinking that at 0-4, 0-5, 0-6. But now at 2-6, yeah, there's something here. That's good. This team didn't fold in this game. They fought hard. You're going to have these terrible, awful basketball games that you've just got to somehow gut out a win, and the Pelicans did that. That's to their credit. This was a team that looked dead in the water, looked like they had given up before. They didn't stop fighting in this game, and that's a pretty important thing. And finding at least that kind of spark or that FU attitude, which is really what it seems like this team has, I'll take them having that, because you need that throughout the course of the season, and you need these guys to still fight, compete. Otherwise, these young guys also won't grow. You saw it in this one. This win is probably more important than just getting your second win of the season and not being the worst team in the Western Conference. This is a win that makes you see the vision, makes you believe in the future a little bit, and it could ignite something in this franchise, in this team this year to at least be respectable. So let's get into beyond Derik Queen. Look, he was good. I like his play. I was high on him in the draft, so him and Fears. So cool. The process to get him, not great, but these guys have shown you something, and Derik Queen looks like he can be a dude in this league. I want to get into Trey Murphy's play. If you looked at the box score, it was not pretty, but I think he had a larger impact than you realize, and it makes you feel like it's just a matter of time with Trey Murphy. We'll also look at Jose Alvarado. That's coming up next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by Gusto. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. So that's where Gusto comes in. It takes the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one, remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. So whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise changes at the end of the month. Gusto's automated tools offer offer letters or onboarding materials, and direct deposits could save you hours every week. And knowing that you can reach a certified HR expert anytime, it's going to give you real peace of mind. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/lockedonnba and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/lockedonnba. One more time, that is gusto.com/lockedonnba. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and join over 12,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well. Still dissecting the trade deadline. That was kind of crazy for the NFL the other day. Locked On Saints needs to be your second listen today with host Ross Jackson, covering everything black and gold as the Saints kind of go in a different direction. They get the picks they needed to get. Ross is covering it all over the Locked On Saints podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make him your second listen today. So let's keep talking about the Pelicans beating the Dallas Mavericks. Oh, that felt good. 101-99, an ugly win, but who cares? A win is a win, and you're seeing some promise from this team. You're seeing at least a future from this team, whereas it was not looking like that a little bit before. What a difference 2 games can just make you feel in terms of perception. We'll talk more about Willie Green in the next segment. His job is likely safe for right now. Don't overthink it. We'll cover that here in a minute. But I want to look at Trey Murphy. You might look at his box score here and be like, he was terrible. And the shooting numbers weren't great. 11 points, 3 of 12 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. It wasn't pretty. But I want you to look beyond the box score when it comes to him. We know that he can score. You saw him make some impactful plays. You know, it's not looked like he's taking that massive leap offensively that we wanted to see. You know, he's initiating the offense somewhat and did it somewhat well. 5 assists in this game. His offense, in terms of him scoring when he's trying to initiate and almost trying to do 2 things at once, isn't the best. And they might need to kind of just slot him into one role or the other. But he shows you that he can keep the offense moving a little bit. And in a sloggy game like this, you need someone like that. 5 assists, which was a team high here, is still pretty impressive in a game like this when no one could shoot particularly well either. You don't get assists unless a bucket gets made. Again, he's not a full-time initiator, but he's doing some things well and can keep it flowing enough. But I also thought you saw a very good performance from him in terms of just doing the right things. Let's talk about impact, right? It goes beyond the box score, particularly in an ugly game when the box score is not going to look good. The stats and numbers aren't going to look nearly as nice. But Trey Murphy, late in the fourth quarter, had a key defensive rebound. Again, that has been a challenge for New Orleans this year, but they rebounded very well in this game, I thought, and limited the damage that the Dallas Mavericks could do. They had a defensive rebound rate of 75%. That's actually a pretty good number for this team. And so for them to come out and play like that, okay, finding ways to just get things done. Their usual defensive rebounding rate is worse than the league. It's 68.2%. Look, that's a good number, I think, when it comes to it. So they're gutting this out. There's something to be said for a team that will show some fight. They weren't always showing fight this year. Now, all of a sudden, they are. And so that's a highly encouraging thing to me, that if you can kind of get in that range. By the way, a defensive rebounding rate of 75% would rank in the top 5 of the league, essentially, when it comes to it. That's a good number here against a team that threw a lot of bigs at them at times and could conceivably go for a lot of second chance opportunities here. Dallas has actually been not bad at that over the course of the season. Well, they haven't been great at it, but they've kind of shown some flashes with it. So to keep them off the offensive glass, good. You did your job. And Trey, who's not been known as an incredible rebounder in his career, to come up with a key defensive board, that's how you make an impact when your shot isn't falling. Defensively, he was on top of his switches. You saw him bottling up some guys and just kind of being in the right spot and making things difficult on the Dallas Mavericks. Those are the type of things that don't show up in the box score, but he was doing in this one. We know that his shot's going to fall. We know that if Jordan, if he develops some chemistry with Jordan Poole, if Zion Williamson comes back or Fears takes a step forward or Queen shows he can be more of an offensive initiator, it shifts Trey into a slightly different role. And then all you need is to see the ball go in the hoop a couple of times. And all of a sudden, it just takes one breakout game for him to kind of be ignited and back to the version of Trey Murphy that we've seen. But I like that for a guy that has struggled to kind of get into games and assert himself and make his impact felt. I thought he did a really good job in this one of doing it. It doesn't always have to be pretty. Sometimes you've just got to grind it out, reach deep down in, and just do something that helps your team win. And you saw a number of Pelicans do that in this game. There's been that narrative of, I even said it from talking to some of the players, like, has this team quit? They did not show quit in this game. I respect that. I'm happy about that, even if it means Willie Green's going to be staying as head coach for a little longer. More on that in a minute here. Jose Alvarado. This is also Willie Green kind of figuring out who to go with. They do want to win. Winning cures some of the ickiness, the festering stuff. I've said losing is a disease, a virus that infects your team. And if you can avoid losing, it's going to help that. Just makes the vibes better around the franchise here. And Willie Green has done a good job of kind of riding with the correct people. He has really, over these past two games, again, not the best opponents, has had his pulse, the right pulse of the team here. Rolling with Jose Alvarado, late in the game, knowing when to use him. Jose was a team high plus 12 in this one in a 2-point win. 4 of 8 from the field, 3 of 5 from deep. Jose Alvarado, I said it in the offseason. We did a whole show about it. His role was going to need to be a 3-point shooter at times. Okay, he went out and he did it. 3 of 5, especially after a game where I think he was 4 of 8 the other night. He was great. 13 points on the night, 8 rebounds. He's the smallest guy out there. The smallest guy out there, and he was second on the team in defensive rebounding. You just need a dude to go out, again, make plays, have an impact, help your team win. It's Jose Alvarado, everybody. He keeps doing it. Look, I want them to develop Jeremiah Fears, and Fears has not played particularly great over the past couple of games. He was 5 of 15 in this one, 1 of 6 from 3. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. He's struggled a little bit. That's to be expected. Him and Queen will have those moments, and it is okay. But knowing that you can just go to Jose, win the game, and just let Jeremiah Fears figure it out, play him limited minutes so that the damage doesn't hurt you as much, is a really great thing. And for Jose Alvarado to kind of prove that trust that Willie Green and the coaching staff is showing in him correct is something great. We love Jose. He's just a beloved player here in New Orleans. So for him to be kind of playing the role that he is right now is absolutely fantastic to see. Just willing to do whatever it is and just do what it takes to get wins. And you're going to have games, as I've been saying, where that just needs to happen. Really good performance from him, I thought, in this one. He was just very, the spark, as he kind of always is. Another spark for the team was Saddiq Bey. I want to look at him in the next segment. I want to talk about head coach Willie Green, his future. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So even if you miss the start of the game, maybe you just want to ride a hot hand once it gets going, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It just keeps everything a little bit more exciting, especially when now the Pelicans are making late fourth quarter pushes. This is awesome to see. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers, $300 in bonus bets. That's the best offer I've seen when your first $5 bet wins over at FanDuel.com. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join over 11,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well. And watch us on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. Become an everydayer. That means you listen Monday through Friday to the Locked On Pelicans podcast. If you're an everydayer, let me know in the comments down below. If you're not an everydayer, that's okay too. I appreciate you making Locked On Pelicans part of your day whenever it is that you listen. But if you listen one day a week, try listening twice. It's kind of actually fun right now around this team. It's not boring at the very least. I'll take that. Bad and boring is the worst. They're not bad and boring anymore. They might just be bad, but they're not boring. That goes a long way. For your second listen, go find Locked On Fantasy Basketball wherever you get your podcasts. Josh Lloyd hosts the #1 fantasy basketball podcast, giving you daily tips and helping you win your league, all while making you a smarter NBA fan. Find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So let's keep looking at the Pelicans' 101-99 win over the Dallas Mavericks. Pelicans rookies looking better than Cooper Flagg? Kinda. At least Derik Queen is in this one. Cooper Flagg, by the way, 20 points on the night, 8 of 19, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. He still looks good. Still looks good. Don't get me wrong, but the Pelicans got the win, and right now that's kind of what matters here for both of these teams. Saddiq Bey, leading scorer in the game here. He has been good for New Orleans this season. 22 points on the night, 9 rebounds for him. He was 4 of 6 from 3. They just needed someone who was going to knock down shots. Saddiq Bey did it. The only other guy that had multiple made threes was Jose Alvarado. You need 3-point shooting. Saddiq Bey was doing it. More than that, though, he's just got that understanding of the game. Late in the fourth quarter, the offense was terrible. The Pelicans were in the bonus for basically the final 5 minutes of this one and did not attack the basket at all. They were settling for contested or long mid-range jumpers, threes, whatever. Saddiq Bey was one of the dudes, that kind of got them sparked a little bit by driving and attacking and getting a score inside and taking advantage of the fact that, the Dallas Mavericks couldn't really foul as much here. You need someone that recognizes that. Saddiq Bey definitely delivered in that regard. He's been good. I wouldn't be shocked if they trade him at the trade deadline. If you realize you're not going anywhere this season, if you could get some sort of pick from him, it would be smart. Him upping his value like this, he looks like he will be a valuable guy for a contending team and could be a trade candidate for New Orleans. That's a couple months away. We don't need to worry about it right now. I'm just enjoying him being on the team here. This also likely saves Willie Green's job for the moment. You're probably not going to fire him after going 2-0. Even if these wins, as I said in the first segment, don't necessarily inspire confidence. But you take the wins when you can. And for a team that has some serious flaws and serious issues, again, you're not playing good teams here. Charlotte starting 3 rookies, playing 4 rookies like heavy minutes. You better win that game. They didn't have their 2 best players, and they've got young guys. New Orleans is starting a few more vets than they were. Dallas is just bad. Bad. They're not going to be good this year. So at least until they get Kyrie Irving back if he plays. So these aren't oh, wow, you beat a good team. You take wins where you can. You don't want to fire a coach on a 2-game winning streak after you started 0-6. And truthfully, he's done a pretty good job these past 2 games with just kind of feeling the rotation, deviating from usual patterns and sticking with the right kind of guys out there on the court. There's something to be said for that. Take these wins when you can. If it makes you more competitive, that kind of brings some good vibes back to the building and kind of changes the internal narrative. I think that's an important thing. But they do need to figure out the offense without Zion Williamson. This is still an indictment on the front office. Yeah, Derik Queen, cool. Jeremiah Fears, cool. But no Jordan Poole, no Zion Williamson, and this offensive rating was about as bad as it can get. Again, you're bailed out by playing the Dallas Mavericks here, but this is the game where it's supposed to be Trey, it's supposed to be the rookies. They've shown some things, but this would not fly against a good team. So it kind of says, hey, we probably need to pivot to that developmental timeline rather than win now timeline, or you've got to find a way to design some offense to let him score. And, I talked about it with Saddiq Bey. This team was not driving and attacking in the paint whatsoever when that was going to be their easiest route to points. Get fouled, go to the line, make your free throws. That was going to be the easiest thing, and the team just couldn't do it. That's a message that needs to be delivered. That message needs to come across in the timeouts, in the huddles, and for your team to do it. You know, I see a lot of people being like, they don't call sets. No coach is like calling plays up and down the end of the game. No one does that. You don't even want that. That'd be a bad thing because it means your players like can't figure things out by themselves. It'd mean a heavy lack of basketball IQ by your players out there on the court, and would be a big indictment of the roster. But the general game plan of what to do in certain situations needs to come across, and the Pelicans did not seem like they had that late in the game. They managed to gut out a win, partially because the Dallas Mavericks are bad, partially because of themselves too. It can be both. So that's cool. But again, the process is not great. We're focusing on the results. I'll take that right now, but the process is still not there. So that's why I said this likely saves Willie Green's job for the moment, not long term. You can still see big flaws with this team, a team that does not inspire a ton of confidence, but at least a team that you can see some hope in, a vision for the future in. Let's take what we can after an 0-6 start. Let's have a little, I hate this phrase, have a little bit of joy. Sorry to subject you to that. Your ears here are on YouTube, your eyes. So just take the wins when we can, and I don't know, try not to be miserable all the time. This was fun. You just got to get it, the wins. I like seeing the young guys play well. Seeing the long-term stuff here with the team is encouraging. Let me know what you think in the comments down below on YouTube. That's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Pelicans. As always, I'm your host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. This is the Locked On Pelicans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Be back with y'all tomorrow with Dylan Sanders. Let's break down what we've seen for these past couple of games, get you set for the weekend. It's a tomorrow's show. See y'all next time.